Okay, so this is probably going to be the most transparent and raw video that I've ever posted.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishan and I make videos on lifestyle, insurance, and mental health. I also do vlogs, day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life with a small child, all the things. If that's something that interests you, go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for your support. Okay, so just jumping right into things. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I suffered a really big loss in 2025. So this video is going to be kind of me discussing the grief journey, discussing work, like what happened at work, because there was also a big event that happened at work, and then just kind of what I want to do with content moving forward. I typically do videos like this every year, like kind of at the top of the year, like a life update type situation. This one is probably the most heavy though, just considering what happened in 2025. So it's an opportunity, honestly, for me to just kind of get some things off my chest, like to articulate it, but also an opportunity for you guys to get to know me outside of the insurance and the content. So if you're interested, definitely go on ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so I try to structure this video in a way where I wasn't just rambling. So I am going to speak about this, or I'm going to kind of structure this in three parts. So I want to talk about personal life, just kind of what happened in personal life, what's going on now, work life, and then also what I plan on doing with content moving forward. So just to kind of put everything out there, in January, there were two big situations for me. So there were the California wildfires, which were around the 7th or it was like the 7th, 8th of January last year. And then on the 16th, my younger brother passed away. So I know I kind of briefly talked about it in a video where I just, kind of told you guys what was going on and just what I was dealing with. But it was crazy. So he had diabetes. That is something that runs heavily in my family, on both sides, on mom and dad's side. So we all make sure that we get checked, because it's one of those things where you could develop it later in life or you could born with it. Like, you just kind of never know, but obviously your chances are higher when it runs in your family. So he had diabetes and he had been sick for some time. I think what kind of took everything overboard was the fact that we didn't realize that it was serious enough to where he would lose his life at that point. I don't want to get too into detail as far as like his life, because it's not really my story to tell. And also, my siblings watch this channel, my mom sometimes watches, so I don't want to really trigger anybody, but I received a phone call. There was a wellness check done, and when it was all said and done, he did not make it. And it basically appeared as if he passed away in his sleep. So it was tough, because I want to say the last time I spoke with him physically on the phone was like 2 days prior to his death, but he and I were texting the day before. Just, how you doing? What's happening? Like just a random sibling exchange. So none of us, which nobody ever is, but none of us were prepared for that. So it was like, you have all these goals for, what you plan on doing for the year and all of that. And you want to make it a good year. We've had a bunch of tricky years, not just me, but the world had a bunch of tricky years, especially these 2020s have been, I feel like, kicking our asses. And then like halfway through January, we get this crazy loss. So it was kind of like a blur, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it was such a shock and such a painful reality that I almost feel like I mentally checked out in some instances. Like, I remember a lot of what was going on, but I was just kind of going in autopilot. And the thing with me is when I am under a lot of stress or when something that devastating happens, I try to keep my life as normal as possible so I don't go crazy. And what I mean by that is the day that I found out that he passed, it was MLK weekend. So I want to say it was a Thursday. The next day was Friday. And the crazy part was I had already requested Friday off just so I could have a 4-day weekend. I was going to work though because of the wildfires, and we were essentially on call. We were working around the clock, getting everybody, situated in housing, but I couldn't even think straight. I called my supervisor hysterical to the point where she sounded like she was about to start crying. She was like, oh my God, like just pretty much take your time off. So I did. I took, Friday off, and I even took Monday off, but I was back at work on Tuesday. And my supervisor was like, are you sure? Like, if you need to leave, like, let me know. And I'm like, no, I mean, I work from home, so I just won't be taking any calls right now, but I will be just kind of working because I need to do something to get my mind off of it. So it was, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. One, I mean, he's a younger sibling, so I think that just being an older sibling, you do not prepare to bury your younger sibling. You don't prepare to bury people that are younger than you. He was only 36 when he passed, and he would have celebrated his 37th birthday in May of last year. So it was crazy because not only did he pass, but it was like a milestone year for me. I turned 40, my youngest brother turned 30, and my mom turned 60. So it was like, this was like a big year for us as far as like milestones. And then we have this wrench. So it's like, yeah, we're blessed to have made it to this age, but we lost, our brother, son, things like that. My mom lost her son is what I mean. But yeah, it was crazy. And it was shocking to a lot of people. Like what I will say, I appreciate the amount of support that we got during that time. Like once word kind of got out, people from my high school, college, just life were reaching out. People that hadn't talked to him in a little bit were reaching out, and his funeral was sad, but it was beautiful. He got sent home the right way. Colors were green and white. Green was like one of his favorite colors, and it was beautiful. It was terrible to have to eulogize him, but it was a beautiful service, and like people really showed up and showed out. I will say that. Now with that, as beautiful as the services were and all that stuff, I don't think I was prepared for some of the situations that happened after. I don't want to be messy or anything, and I'm not going to be messy, but I'll just say this. Sometimes the way people act when like tragedy happens is not how you would think they would act. Like, I think it's tricky with death because nobody really knows the right thing to say or the right thing to do. Like for me, if I know somebody has lost someone, I do tend to give them space. But if they need me, I'm here. Like, it's kind of like you want to be there for them in the capacity that they need you. Some people want like people all around them and they want you to constantly check on them. Other people just want to be left alone and just, they want to be able to work through the grief on their own. I'm kind of a mix of both. I had moments where, I wanted to be around people. And when I say people, I mean like my siblings, my husband, my son, niece, like just very immediate family. And then there were times where I just wanted to be left alone. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fault people for not knowing what to do because a lot of times with grief and like with death, there's nothing that you can say. There's nothing that you can really say to make it better because whatever you say, even if it's positive, the person is still deceased. So I think there was some of that, but then there were some behaviors that I side-eyed and some relationships changed during that time. And it's unfortunate, There's no love loss. I'll say that. There's no love loss with anybody. I have no beef with anybody. I have no animosity towards anybody. But I think that, and there were some situations where like the way I was handled, especially just considering what was going on, the severity of what was going on. All in all, I'm going to just say this. The way I would have acted prior to experiencing this loss was hindered. Like, I felt like on some days I was fighting for my life and like fighting for my sanity because the grief was so overwhelming some days. Other days I was, okay. It's like, obviously it's in the back of your mind, but I was okay. I was getting through it. And so there were certain things that happened that I didn't feel should have happened while I was going through that time because I just truly wasn't in my right mind. So I did what was best for me and my family during that time. And sometimes that pisses people off. But you can't care about what pisses people off when you're doing what's best for you, especially when you're fighting for your fucking life. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me for cussing, but it's gonna be some cussing in here because I'm being completely transparent and real with y'all. So yeah, there was some of that, and there were some situations where I just kind of had to take a step back for my mental health because like there's only so much self-control I can have. And, I definitely didn't want to be in situations where I said or did anything that I couldn't take back. So some situations where it was just getting a little too it was just going to be a little too much for me. I had to take a step back from. So I'm gonna kind of leave it at that because, again, I don't want to be messy or whatever. And I don't know who's all watching this video, but I'm just being completely transparent. There were ways that I was handled that I side-eye to this day. So what did I do during this time? It wasn't much I could do. It was just trying to be there for my mom because she lost a son. And, it's just something that no parent should ever have to go through. So when it becomes a reality, it's like, okay, here we are. How do we move forward? Trying to be there for my niece, his daughter. She is only, at the time she was 11. She turned 12 last year. So that's very young to have gone through such a big loss like that. We lost our father too, but when I lost my dad, I was 30. And, her having to experience that so young, and then also, be going through adolescence and stuff like that, it was a lot. Also, I wasn't prepared for the way my son reacted. Like, he was only 5 at the time when he passed. And, it affected him a lot too. He had a lot of questions, and some of those questions really sent me. They weren't bad questions. It was just him being curious and just trying to understand, like, oh, uncle's not here anymore, that kind of stuff. So it was a lot. I'll say that. But we got through that. There's still going to be hard days ahead. And I think the biggest thing is that, you do have to make sure that you live your life the way you want to, how you want to, because you never know when it's going to be taken from you. And it sounds cliche, but it's so true. I don't think it is good for your mental health to think about, I'm feeling this on my lunch break, so I'm just checking the time and stuff. But I don't think it's good to think about like dying every day, because that could drive you crazy. But I do think it's important to be realistic that everybody has a timeline, and we don't know when that timeline is going to run out. So, curate the relationships that you want to curate, do the things that you want to do, and just be the best person that, you can. Because what do you want to be remembered for? Like, you really have to you have to think about that, because it's all going to end one day for all of us. Now, this was kind of one of those times, because the loss was so great. I'm gonna just say this. I don't do drugs or anything. I have me some wine here and there, but I can understand how dealing with such a tough loss can drive people to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Okay. I was so lost at one point, because it's like I'm still trying to keep up with my everyday, but I'm grieving. So what I poured my energy into was a workout regimen. I felt like that was the safest thing I could do and the most productive thing I could do. Now, my brother, he was super into working out also. And there was a point in time where we were working out together. So it was me, him, and my husband. We would work out daily, like during the week. And that kind of stopped once he got sick. So I'm like, okay. When we went to go and clean out his place, he had a bunch of weights. So all of us took like some of his workout equipment. So I was like, let me just make sure that I stay as consistent with my workouts as possible, because it'll help with the endorphins. It'll help with my health. It'll also help because since diabetes runs in our family, I pray I don't ever get it. But like, at least if I do get it, I can, delay it sometime. It was just kind of like one of those things, like, what can I do in a healthy way to get through this? And that was what I chose to do. So, just normal stuff like having that workout routine, cooking from home, things like that were things that I tried to do to get through the grief. And then also, just seeing certain family members that I don't see all the time. Mind you, I do feel like I could have seen people more, but, just with the grief and work and everything that was happening, that wasn't quite possible. But that's something that I do want to strive for in 2026. It's like just hanging out with people that make me feel good, hanging out with people that I should see more often, creating those memories and stuff and having pictures. I think part of like what was bittersweet about this whole situation was being able to go through like photos of him, when he was healthy, and we just had good times, and like, you can kind of remember the situation on photo. Like, that was like, it was sad, but it was therapeutic, at the same time. So that's what I want to do, like just create memories and, get through the rest of my life without him. And that's like the tricky part. It's like, as happy as I am about, certain situations, it's still like bittersweet, because you know that there's no longer like any new memories that will be made with him. So really just like trying to keep his memory alive, and we make sure that we speak about him in present tense. And yeah, we do talk about him in past tense sometimes, because that is reality, but we do try to talk about him and make sure we say his name to keep his memory alive. I think what is so fucked up sometimes about like people dying is that after the funeral and after things die down, it's like, I don't want to say people forget about the person, but they're just not top of mind anymore. And that was like one of my fears with him. Like, I didn't want him to not be top of mind. Like, he will always matter, like always. And so my siblings and I, my mom, my husband and son, we try to, like, when we're talking about him, we speak about him, we say his name, and we laugh about the good times. Like, obviously it's going to always be sad that he's not here, but we definitely try to talk about like the good times, and just what we want to do moving forward to honor his memory. So as far as personal life, that's basically what's happening. Like, relationships have changed. Well, I gotta clock in, BRB. All right, so I want to finish this video, so I'm going to incorporate my break so I can finish. But basically, I think I left off on just saying like some relationships have changed. It's just, like I said, certain things happen that I would not have done if I was dealing with someone in the same mental space after having lost a loved one. But you know what? It's neither here nor there. It is what it is. I feel like things happen for a reason, so we're just gonna leave that there. But I am trying to, just live my best life. I entered a new decade, so I want to be the healthiest me. I want to be the most productive me, and just do things that make me happy, that I want to do. Like, the grief is gonna always be there, and I think that's important to understand. Like, it's not like it ever stops. It never stops. Like, it's always gonna be there. Some days are gonna be really heavy. Some days are gonna be a little bit lighter. I've read things like just saying that like you learn how to carry it different, which is so true. Like, when everything first happened, like, I cried daily for probably a good month. And then after that, it was like, every few days. And then I had like a major breakdown, like a few weeks before my 40th birthday, just because the first birthday since 1987 that he wouldn't be here. He was born in 88. I was born in 85. So it was just, it was heavy, and then like the holidays were a little tricky. Like, I didn't even really want to do much because it was just the first year without him being here. This year, I do think we're gonna, pick back up as far as like celebrating and stuff, but we just needed to get through last year. So moving forward, I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing, because it's honestly been keeping me sane. All of my siblings, even my mom, we have like a physical activity routine that we do. Everybody's situation is different, but we make sure that we just stay active and we stay in communication with each other to make sure everybody's good. And just, the biggest thing too is just like moving with good intentions. I feel like if you move with good intentions, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, will reward you. So that's that on the personal life. Okay, so moving into work. Now, Lord, work is a loaded subject, okay? I started the video telling y'all about the wildfires and all of that, and a lot of us had an opportunity to essentially volunteer for the team. Like, do you want to work this catastrophe? And my supervisor is like the catastrophe queen. And honestly, I follow her wherever she goes. So I'm like, listen, if you're going to be working it, I'm going to work it. So that was basically what happened. We did have to make a commitment to work extended hours, especially like those first couple of weeks, because as the claims were coming in, we had to make sure people were getting housed, make sure we reimbursed them, getting people emergency funds, because a lot of people had to just leave with the clothes on their back, maybe a few items. It was intense. Like, it was intense. And it gave a different meaning to adjusting. Like, I was literally talking to people that have lost everything. Because in the beginning, before everything was triaged, we were trying to get information on, like, what's the status of your home? Is your home still standing? Or, is it partially burned? Smoke and ash? Like, what's going on? Wind damage? Because it was a bunch of that. So I remember talking to people that had no clue what the status of their home was because they had to evacuate. So some people didn't even know their home was a total loss until they were able to get back into the neighborhood, or until authorities were able to get back into the neighborhood. Some people, thought their home was a total loss, but their home was the last one standing on their block. Maybe every other house around them was a total loss. Like it was crazy. You got people in different financial positions. You have some people that they have money, so it was easy for them to go and find like a really nice hotel to stay in while they figured out their next move. Other people did not have money at all, like did not have savings or anything like that. So then we are trying to get them emergency funds, or put them in a situation where the housing vendor is doing a direct bill with their housing vendor. No, I'm sorry. Where their housing vendor is doing a direct bill with their landlord or hotel or whatever, so that they don't have to pay anything out of pocket. It was a lot going on, and then emotions were high. So you're talking to people, I'm talking about people bawling, grown men bawling because they lost everything, or they don't know if they lost everything, or they don't know if a family member made it out. Like it was emotionally taxing. And then because I live in like proximity to all this stuff, I want to say the first or second day of like the fires, the air quality was crazy. So my son went to school that day, but we got a notification from his school that because the air quality was so bad, he had to be picked up. They sent the kids home because it was just too dangerous for them to be out. So like, finding a mask to fit him, like going to his school, the air's thick, you can see the ash in the air, like it's orange. It was bad. It was bad. So we were indoors, like not, can't open our windows because the air quality is so bad. It was out of control. So we got through all of the initial hard stuff, I guess you could say. And then once we got people housed and all that stuff, and once we were able to get back into the neighborhoods, now we can send our adjusters in to go and see how bad the damages are. So then we were able to start kind of creating like preliminary estimates and things like that. There's a lot of information from the Department of Insurance and governor, just kind of on how things should be handled. People are getting information from the internet. People are talking to their neighbors. People are working with different insurance companies. So they're asking, why aren't you guys doing this? Oh, I'm so happy that I'm with you guys because you are doing this. Like it was a lot. It was a lot. So let's just say that there have been a lot of moving pieces as far as the handling of these claims. Like it hasn't all been consistent at the same time. Like there was a point where, we weren't sending out testing vendors, and then we were sending out testing vendors. And then, we had certain protocols for contents, and then those contents protocols changed, and just all kinds of stuff. And then as customers get attorneys and public adjusters, maybe they're asking for an additional scope because they feel like the damages are more extensive than what we're saying. So we're still kind of going through some of that, but it was really crazy in the beginning. So I think for me, it was like, I'm going through one of the biggest events in my career while also going through one of the biggest losses of my life. So it was like that. I was trying to just kind of wrap my head around that and just keep my head above water, really. That was kind of what work looked like for me, trying to get out as many letters as possible. There were so many templates that went out, and just, oh, we got to send these to these customers. Or now we got to send this. And now you want to hit all your customers up and tell them this. It was a lot. And if you're an adjuster, being an adjuster is already taxing, but when you're working a catastrophe, it's even more taxing. Just add like times 10 whatever you think taxing is. That's what working a catastrophe is like. Working a state of emergency, even more taxing. So yeah, I was going through it, okay? Like life was taking me through there around this time. Basically right now, where we're at is things are starting to get wrapped up in some instances, but then other things are just now getting started. Like I had talked about in my previous vlog, you have some people that have already cleaned their homes and they've passed clearance testing and they're moved back. Like they're good. Contents are done, all that. But then you have other people that are trying to get additional testing. They're trying to push out housing for as long as they have limits. Like it's a lot. And as an adjuster, you want to empathize with the customer, and you really want to treat them how you would want like your family member to be treated, how you would want to be treated. But at the end of the day, you still have to adjust the claim. You still have to adhere to the policy. So you have to be able to give a little, but then also ring people in and let them know, hey, this actually is not going to fly. I need you to, work with me and do A, B, and C. And that's what I'm struggling with, because I'm only human, and I've been doing this for a long time, but sometimes my temper comes into play because people will play in your face, and I can't say hey, you're playing in my face. But then it's like, I have to now try to figure out a professional way to say, you got me fucked up. I need you to do this. I've done all this for you, like trying to assist you, but now you are messing with the integrity of my claim and my job. So we're gonna have to reel this in, because basically what it is a customer could want something, but if it's not owed, it's not owed. I could argue, on your behalf all I want, but if you're not cooperating with us per the policy, it's not much I can do for you. And that is what we are trying to figure out. So I got a spreadsheet that I got to complete, just basically giving a status on each claim, what's outstanding, what we're doing to move it forward and all of that. You have some people that are very transparent with what's going on, that are reaching out, every step of the way. And then you have other people, it's like pulling teeth to even get in contact with them. So it is a lot. It's a lot, but we're working through it and, making shit shake. Now, professionally, I've told y'all, I am looking to move into a different realm of insurance, because the customer facing thing, it was cool while it lasted. I am grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for, everything I've learned. I'm still learning. I have had some amazing supervisors. I've had some not so amazing supervisors, but everybody played a part in where I'm at today. So I will say that I have been able to pay off cars. I've been able to purchase a house. I've been able to take care of my family with working in insurance, specifically in claims. But as I ease into this decade, I'm definitely looking for something a bit softer. I don't have it in me to be arguing with people all the time. And I don't argue with people all the time, but it's just the nature of the business is sometimes you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have to make tough decisions, and you're going to have tough conversations. It's not you, it's the policy. If I can find you coverage, I will find you coverage. If I cannot, I just simply cannot. And no amount of you begging or cussing me out or anything like that is going to change things. So that gets old after a while, like just having these conversations where you go in circles and, people want to escalate. And then sometimes, like, just because there's an escalation doesn't mean it's your fault, but then that doesn't mean that management won't look at it as your fault. So it's just dealing with that. And child, I'm tired. So, I am just looking at other opportunities within the same company, but within different departments in insurance. So stay tuned. I will keep you guys posted, as I move throughout stuff. When I got this job, I, let y'all know what was happening. When I got the other job, I let y'all know what was happening. So I still plan to continue to do that. But even with that, because I have so much experience as an adjuster, I do plan on talking about that on the channel, which I'll get into next. Okay, without further ado, content. So my tag has basically been like insurance, mental health, and lifestyle, whatever, on this channel. And I do feel like sometimes I'm very insurance heavy, because that's the content really that got me the support, But I'm more than insurance. And also, I have mentioned before that I want to incorporate other things, because I don't know where my career is going to take me. So I don't want to just be boxed in as an adjuster. Definitely, I'm going to be working a 9 to 5 for the foreseeable future. It's my bread and butter. But I want to incorporate just other aspects of my life. Like, I do plan on having more of like my siblings and cousins, when we see each other and all that, because we have a good time. You guys have seen my sister before. We were doing this little series called Carpet Chronicles like a couple years ago. And we didn't continue with it. We weren't as consistent with it, but we tried to talk about like real world topics and things like that. And I think we are going to continue that, but we're going to do it in a different capacity. Like, we might do something on our own. And if we do that, I will be letting you guys know. So she and I have been just kind of talking about different things and how we want this year to look, because she also makes content. She's a fashion designer and seamstress. So she does a lot of that. And she does costume design for sets. So she's got her whole like work situation. And, we come together to make relatable content. So hopefully we'll have some new stuff very soon. We've talked about getting together in January. Probably like more towards the end, but we definitely got to plan and forecast and, figure out whose house we're going to film at and all that jazz. So that'll be coming soon. But in the meantime, I do plan on, I think about the content that I like to watch. Like, I like to watch cleaning videos. I like to watch cooking videos. I like to watch routine videos, things like that. So I do plan on incorporating more of those things. If I'm going to be honest, I think that sometimes I just be lazy. Like, even getting up in the morning. in order for me to film a viable morning routine, I do need to get up a little bit earlier because, you know, you got to move the camera around, you got to move the tripod, you got to get the good angle. You know, I got to test it out to see if the angle's good before I film it, all that stuff. And then I'm strategic because as much as I want to share, I still want to keep a level of privacy. So I got to be careful of what I film in the house and all that stuff. So those are coming soon. I did actually film a morning routine, but I hated it. My hair looked terrible. Like it looked like I was in desperate need of a brush. And even with the brush, my hair was just looking crazy. So I kind of scrapped that. The editing was great, but I just didn't like the video. So I'm gonna redo it soon and put that up. And then just kind of, you know, I'm gonna be consistent with it because the thing, and I had mentioned this on my last vlog, that like when you start switching up your content, it's gonna take some time for the views to come. So those videos just simply don't do as well on my channel because I don't film them as often. I'm not known for those types of things, but I want to be known for those types of things. So I'm going to be more intentional about, you know, just like making sure that those things are filmed and scheduled, but also the insurance stuff. So I do talk a lot about insurance. I do the vlogs and stuff like that, but I want to do more in-depth insurance stuff, especially for my adjusters that go out into the field. And I think about just like how I was when I went out into the field. I didn't know jack shit. Like all the training in the world does not prepare you for what all you have to do when you go on site, for those rapid fire questions and, you know, trying to figure out what material is what, this, that, and the third. So I plan on doing videos around materials, how to, you know, look at different, you know, appliances, how to look at different, not appliances, how to look at different like structures in the home, stuff like that. So I am going to put together some stuff. I want it to be, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, but it definitely, I want to show you guys how I inspect when I go on site. Like I kind of want to give you guys a real life view of that because I think that when I was new to insurance, that would have really, really helped me just to see somebody, especially somebody that looked like me. You know, it would have been helpful to see like how somebody goes into a home and like how they inspect and how they measure and, you know, what's your process. I think it's so important to have a process when you go and inspect so then you never miss anything. Like, you know, just an overview of my process. And this is kind of off topic, but on topic. When I go into a house, I ask for an overview of like what I'm looking at. Tell me the story. I'm listening. I'm kind of making mental notes, and then I go back in and do my actual inspection. And I'm letting the person know to give me a moment, like without questions and stuff like that. Let me do what I got to do so I can get all my pictures and measurements and things like that. And once I'm done, I'll come back to you and then we can have a conversation about any questions you may have, and I can go over next steps. So that ensures that like if I do that every time, I don't miss anything. Sometimes the policy can be tricky to read, so I can kind of go through some common policy provisions and things if you guys are interested in that. And then again, just the like how I prepare for the week, how I prepare my son for the week, how I, you know, maintain, like some weekends I'm going, you know, to the nail shop and just other, you know, like beauty maintenance or whatever. What does that look like? So I want to incorporate some of those things just so my channel is more well-rounded. So yeah, look for some new content, but I do think I'm going to ensure at minimum my consistency, at least a video a week is what I am striving to do in the new year. All right, y'all, I said a mouthful, okay? Like a mouthful. So thank you for sticking around. If you made it to the end, you're a real one. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. Be sure to hit that like button because that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And it also lets me know that you like these type of videos, these types of update videos and all that stuff. If you have any tips, like if you are, and this is, I'm gonna put a trigger warning on this video just because I was talking about grief and death of a sibling, but I am really interested to hear from, you know, those of you that have had a loss, you know, whether that be a sibling, parent, anybody special to you. I'm curious to know what you did during your grief journey that helped, and like what are your plans moving forward? Let's start a conversation in the comments. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. So make sure to comment as well, and yeah, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your bag, it's like I never knew you. Leave that.